Hi, welcome everyone. And this is a follow-up from yesterday. 4th of July celebration. We're talking about the S&P 500. Yesterday we talked about, at least with our managed positions with JPAM Asset Management, we had carried in a long position. And ahead of the 4th of July, we actually added to the trade a little bit here yesterday. So as I was pointing out, when would you add to a trade? That's the key element. This is a market that's been very dynamic, and I just wanted to share with you what's on this screen right now. First, this is the John person. This is the brand new. It's not really an indicator. We've been doing this manually for decades. This is I guess you want to call it a multi-time frame, look-see, two-dimensional, but it's two-dimensional with two different indicators, number one, and it incorporates whatever you're looking at. In this case, it's a 5-minute against the daily time frame. And these are the last conditional change of the higher time frame, which are green, and the fuchsia color are the last conditional change of the current time frame. So if I take, for example, and I change this to a 15, all I've done is change the current look right now, or at least change the lower time frame. I can change lower time frame by just clicking the icon here on TradeStation. If I want to change the anchor or higher time frame, I have to go to Format Strategy, and as you can see, it's set, on 60 minutes. So I'm looking at a 15 versus 60 minute time frame, and you can change this by going simply Format, and let's go to Daily and hit OK and hit Close. Now, what I'm looking at is a daily time frame with a 15-minute. If I change this in SPXL and I go to 60, here we go. Now that looks more like it, right? So for position trading, what do we have here? The last video we did was yesterday. Now, do me a favor. If you don't like the video because of the technical content, no problem. But if you don't like the video because it is 1080p or it doesn't show up well on your computer, I don't know how to resolve that. But they look phenomenal when we look at it. I am not a professional filmmaker. I am a trader. I've created trade strategies, and I'm looking to help you guys and share with you, at least based on solid technical information, what the market condition is. Not based on the market can't go any higher. Because let me tell you something. Whenever I put my 2 cents in the market, it doesn't generally work. And I'll give you an example. Today, for example, on JPAM Asset Management, you'll notice that this is the 60-minute on SPXL. As a disclosure, we are long SPXL. So here's what I was looking at, and here's the disclosure. We reduced or eliminated half our position in the marketplace. One of the reasons is based on this simple little, we started to go up, 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 up and away, and right there, and we started to see the volume sell off a little bit. And that, to me, was an indication that maybe we scale out of half the position and we trailed our stop on the balance. And no harm, no foul, but we definitely saw follow through since then. So it's when you're trading other people's money and you're trading it as if it's your own, the last thing I want to do is give back profits. And so another thing is you got to let trends ride. So I think this, ahead of the 4th of July holiday, this is a very difficult trading market environment. I don't know if there's going to be tweets from our president. I don't think there's going to be missile launches from South Korea. I think President Trump kind of helped us with that situation last weekend. So we're not going to have any disruptions in that. Iran haven't really been a big player in affecting our market, at least the energy complex, right? So what would be the one thing that would take this equity rally away? If China says that they're not happy with trade negotiations, that would be a detriment. But Friday, we have the monthly unemployment report, or the monthly unemployment report. We joke around, ex-floor traders would call it the unenjoyment report, because if you were on the wrong side of a market and that report came out against your positions, it was not enjoyable. So it's the unenjoyment report. Needless to say, that comes in hot. Average hourly work week increases. Average pay increases. More jobs created. That's hot. That means the Fed is less likely to reduce rates at the July meeting. So everyone's looking for a very tepid, neutral unemployment report to keep that monetary stimulus in the marketplace and keep interest rates low for right now. That's what's fueling the fire of this market. So if we look at SPXL, you will see that going into at least this big weekend, building a position here, and yesterday I said, what would you do? You would add to the position. So if you're long the market, you would add to the position, and our upside objective eventually is around 55 on SPXL. Let's take a look at the spiders. So SPY. Well, I understand what my objective is. I would also say as we get near 298.5, we're getting a little, the trend is great with the OBV. My volume indicator is starting to lessen a little bit. When we get these, I just wanted to share with you, when you get drops in momentum and the market rises, it generally shows that the market can come down. When you get the momentum of the market down and the market stalls, you get a little bit of a pullback. We have what? A momentum decline. And that was part of the reason why I thought, let's scale out a half the position up close to this level and trail the stop on the balance. That way, we can't get hurt. I just wanted to explain that as a trade management situation. How are we putting this indicator or my indicators to work making trade decisions? We're not just making trade decisions on entries. We're using this information on where to place stops, but also when and where to add on to the trade and scale out. So if we scaled in yesterday, if you think about it, if we have a core long position from over here, right, and we scaled into a position here, and we take a short-term profit on half the position, that was half the position on yesterday's scale-in. So we're still in a core position. I would say that I don't think we're that far away current prices. So between now and Monday or Friday's unemployment report, we'll see the condition of the market. Other than that, gang, I would have to tell you, what do I see in the market that we can make some money on in the weeks ahead? Let's take a look. All right, this is my Algo 17. Again, let's go to Format Strategies. This is SPXL. You can see that it too, the system, ironically, it got scaled out of its trade. You can see long 1900 got out of 190. It's still 90% of the position, so it didn't get a complete 50-50 scale out. It did a balanced scale out. It's still long. If you'll notice, this may be hard to see, but these are specific, these gray lines. Those are the new trailing stop functions in the market. What do those represent? This represents the latest addition to our Algo Optimizer program. And this is something that is just amazing for all traders to utilize. I'm sure you've seen me give presentations on this before, so I don't want to get into the detail right now, but it can, if you're a day trader, it allows you when to use multiple stop and end times. So if you wanted to trade the European session and the US session, or the open outcry and the closing session, you can choose two different time frames and optimize best time of the day to trade. Now, position sizing, we have three different calculated models. I'm using number one, in this case, 100,000 base size account for trading SPXL. We have a position per risk, and for commodity traders, a stagnant lot size. So if I change that to 3, this number, position calc to 3, it's going to change the position size to only taking 2 contracts. So that would be 2 shares in SPXL. That doesn't make sense. But here's the neat thing. We optimize this out as a scale out ratio. What's the best profitability over time? And this says to scale out when it hits a profit objective at 10% ratio and keep the position on 90%. And that's with the 80%. If it gets close to 80% of its intended profit target, it'll trail a stop tight of 60% of the distance from the entry to the profit. Pretty advanced information. Easy to learn for any trader. Now, let's get into this, what the exits are. There's 3 different styles of trailing stop functions. My proprietary last conditional change indicator, which was in that book 15 years ago. But we also added something very sophisticated to this. We changed a dynamic exit, which uses a function of last conditional change and an ATR. It's dynamic in that it does use the last conditional change, but it also incorporates an average true range of the bars to keep us a little tighter and a little bit better than, say, a chandelier or maybe a compression stop. And that's a whole different subject. But anyway, we now have the ability to switch between and optimize to find out what's the best method for trailing stops on your positions. I would like to know that because my opinion sometimes doesn't work well. I want to know the dynamics of this particular market and how it relates to its trailing stop functions. The next greatest best thing that we really came up with as far as a new addition to this program is simply this. We can separate between the buys and the sells because absolutely markets go up slower than markets go down, right? That's the function. But if we have a risk reward on a trade of 2.25, a trailing stop function, a holding period, we can dynamically figure out the best trade setup for longs versus shorts. So that's number one. And to confirm entries, here's something that we did. If you notice where it says moving average of a price, in other words, this is a PPS buy signal, and you can get that buy signal, PPS indicator on Thinkorswim, and again with our TradeStation program. Now, with this algo optimizer, here's what we added. We sprinkled lots of steroids on something that was just dynamic to begin with. What did we do? Well, wouldn't it make sense that if we got a buy signal and we want confirmation, do we want it to go over a moving average? And what are the moving average parameters? Is it based on a moving average of the high, a moving average of the low, or a close? If we're looking for a market to break out and we had say a moving average of the highs, wouldn't we want a close greater than a moving average of the highs versus a moving average of the close? After all, that's what a moving average of highs would look like that. A moving average of the lows would look like that, like a Bollinger Band type of thing, right? And then the close would be maybe in the middle, something like that, right? That's a moving average concept. If you're looking for a buy signal breakout, you'd want not maybe the close, but maybe a breakout system above a moving average of the highs. Oh, by the way, that's what we did. And that's why you can clearly see it says H. If I hit optimize, all I have to do is I want to optimize this from 0 to 1 or go, what is my moving average? I can go high, H, L, or C, and I can optimize that for a moving average. So what is the time period moving average? So if I want to put an input of moving average of close, I just put C. And if I want to optimize and I go to moving average function, I would hit optimize and I want a moving average, no moving average up to 40 periods, jump rate of 1 and hit OK. If I want to use a moving average of highs, I go high and I go back here and I optimize. So the opposite is true for sell signals. And so right now we would look for, if we were going to take a short in the market, we would want to see a PPS with confirmation of what? The length of the moving average and the type of moving average, a moving average of lows for confirmation or breakdowns. Those are the main changes that we put together for this particular product, which is fantastic. So again, a lot of things that we do here at Person's Planet are not about just selling out someone else's indicator and coming up with another mousetrap. We want to make trading tools efficient that are relevant to our current time frame. And again, as you know, trading is also a lot to do with up here. How do you hold a position that's moving this much and ahead of a holiday weekend with an unemployment report that can have so much effect on whether or not the market feels that we can still go up or down? That's the key, right, gang? So, as it is right now, here's one of the neat things about this market. I don't know when this thing's going to trail out. I really don't. We said the other day in the market, SPY, I was looking at a move possibly, here's our profit target on this 60-minute or 15-minute SPY model. It has a PPS buy. This particular model now just integrated a trailing stop function, by the way. That's what this orange line is. If this market goes back down and crosses below that line, this thing is getting out of the SPY right there. Beautiful trend, but look, it's got a profit target somewhere near 299. So I just wanted to at least get that idea. Trailing stop down here, profit target up there on this 15-minute SPY model. I hope that gave you some insights. Also, the condition of the market, we would not expect volume to be kicking up in high gear on a day like today. Why? A lot of traders skedaddled out of town. After 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, every 30 minutes they go by, we're losing traders from the desk because they don't see you know, if you're long, there's nothing to do. You're not adding to a new trade right now, and you certainly aren't selling this wild wildebeest of a bull. Thank you all for watching, and I know if you go back and you look at any videos that we've put out for the last few weeks, we've not been a bear, we've been a bull, we've been advising you to stand alongside. And by the way, I think this set of indicators has helped us. Lastly, look at this. When do we take the next trade in the Russell? And the Russell is now forming a potential, finally, it is leading the market with a pop in its advanced decline. There's not a lot of strong volume here yet, and even my volume indicator is actually looking a little bit more impressive. My guess, if we can close greater than this intersection of a pivot swing high, that's when we're going to get a little bit more launch. Currently, fund managers and those that are controlling, I call them the heads of the five family of investors, T. Rowe, Fidelity, the people that control trillions of dollars, they just don't feel that being in the Russell right now because there's no growth and the economy is at jeopardy of a recession, and they don't see the value of small cap. Remember, a lot of people talked about staying out of small cap because any tariff trade war with China was going to be bad for small companies. Well, there's no real escalation of that trade war, and we're coming up with earnings in the next few weeks. You watch some of these sectors, man. I understand there's a good weighting with regional banks. I understand there's a good weighting with small cap biotech. There's a good weighting with small cap energy. And those three sectors are weighing in on the Russell. But if we can clear the hurdles on energy, if we can clear the hurdle in healthcare, biotech specifically, and more importantly, the banks, so you want to be focused on the KRE, that's when we're going to get liftoff and launch in the Russell. Lastly, and just to wrap this up, let's take a look at those three sectors that I've just talked about. So first and foremost, let's take a look at, oh, by the way, Tesla had a really big day today. Our indicators, and if you do follow our work, at least with Thinkorswim, this is the PMC indicator. It fired off. Our volume was actually positive. We had a high close doji here. Market closed greater than pivots. There's no way that anyone would be short based on our work and our research, and certainly not in our trade room did we do that, get short Tesla. This had some dynamic shifts in the market. So anyway, that's Tesla. What I wanted to share with you is KRE. All right, the KRE, it's not demonstrating signs of relative strength improvement. That's the PMC, but volume is kicking up in high gear. And if we're going to see, and if you can kind of look at this, you'd almost say, gee, John, that looks almost like the Russell? And it does, right? So when would the Russell kick up into high gear? If we can get the small cap regional banks to kick up in high gear. Lastly, XOP. Let's look at the oil and gas exploration sector. Doesn't look exactly like the Russell because it's gone down, and today the Russell is up. But, you know, I'm thinking we're starting to develop a little bit of relative strength improvement. It's not getting worse, right? We got a little convergence. The volume shifted negative, but there's a lot of longer term volume, and I'm thinking that if the XOP maintains and holds this pivot area of support, then next week we should see some upside. Anyway, those are the things that I wanted to share with you. I want to say, everyone, have a beautiful 4th of July celebration with your family and friends. And I look forward to seeing you back here. And once again, if you found the information helpful, give a thumbs up. If it's because the quality of the video, it's done in 1080p. It never was. I think would suggest if the video is hard to see, try another monitor or try the resolution on your computer. But to give a thumbs down because, you know, maybe you're a day trader in Forex, this doesn't work, then don't watch. But if you don't like the 1080p or it doesn't show up, try another monitor because it does come in crystal clear. And we back tested that and have seen it. So if you do have an issue, send a comment. I mean, it's it kind of gives us an idea. The only reason I'm doing these videos is just to help people say, is this worth watching? And are the indicators really helping? And that's the key. Can you make money trading technically? And does something like this help you, the investor or the trader, with the discipline and the mindset to stay with the right side of the market? That's the real key. And I hope you found this to be useful and helpful. With that said, do find yourself having a great 4th of July, and we'll check back with you after the unemployment report on Friday. Take care.